Flowers bloom in gold, let your power shine. Turn back the time, bring back what once was mine. We're going to talk about Tangled today. You guys, we're talking about Tangled. So, codependent, can we talk about it? I mean, it's shocking how accurate and well-laced this whole story is, with an aggressive, dominating helicopter parent psychologically getting into just sabotaging their child for their own selfish gain. Obviously, there are parts of it that are more extreme and more pronounced than probably happens in real life, hopefully. But there's so many elements to the Mother Gothel's relationship with Rapunzel that are so relatable and too close to home. It's shocking. They catch a lot of her psychosis and her dysfunction in very nuanced and specific ways that I'm very impressed, and clearly psychologists were helping put this character together. It's crazy. There's a moment where Rapunzel realizes she's the princess, and she's like, what? And you hear language from Mother Gothel throughout the story, like in their conversations, where she's basically blaming Rapunzel for why her life sucks, why Mother Gothel's life is difficult or held back, and all these things she has to do to serve this girl and sacrifice for her, and everything is Rapunzel's fault. And Mother Gothel is such a victim. It's nauseating, but also so real. That happens. There are actually parents out there who do this, and not just parents, but especially parents. And I'm not trying to vilify anyone, and that's not the point, but in working in the field that I work in with people at a certain age range who are learning how to leave their parents' home and become independent adults and explore what that looks like now, you see so many common patterns of certain parents who had their hand in their kid's life in a way that was overbearing, manipulative, controlling, needy, codependent, awful. And so to watch their kid have to learn how to let go of some of this and redefine what has been happening for the last 20 years or whatever, it's a journey, but it's one that's necessary for that adult child to flourish and thrive and mature and be able to fully function as a well-rounded member of society. They did such a good job showing these dynamics, and it's so poisonous, the stuff she's saying. She's like, I did my best, I tried, constantly letting Rapunzel know, everything I've done for you has always been for your good, when actually everything Mother Gothel has done has always been for her good, and Rapunzel has just been the best, most convenient way to get it, or the fastest, or whatever, right? So obviously in this movie, it's way more pronounced. It's her hair. She's using her for her fountain of youth, but I mean, in real life, there's lots of things that happen. There's a thing called emotional incest, where a father and a mother get married. That's weird. Where a man and woman get married, and they have a family, and somewhere along the way in the relationship, whether it was always this way or it became this way, the intimacy shared between mom and dad isn't quite what it used to be or needs to be or whatever, and at some point, the offspring, the son, the daughter, whatever, becomes a little more capable of engaging emotionally, and then the parent actually finds emotional fulfillment and satisfaction and intimacy needs met in the parent-child relationship more than in the partner relationship. This happens more often than you'd think. It's shocking and awful and destructive, especially for the offspring, for the child, because it psychologically just messes with what they think intimacy is. It messes with what parents' roles are in their life. It messes with their responsibility and their, what belongs to them in their own journey. It's ugh. It's gross, it's nauseating, it's messy though, and it's damaging. And so the motivation typically comes from what either spouse just isn't getting their emotional needs met, so they're actually finding that intimacy and connection from the son or daughter that's willing to go there with them, to verbally process, to emotionally explore, to cover, to console, to comfort. That need getting met in your son or daughter is inappropriate when you're not getting it from the spouse. And then if you're the son or daughter in that exchange, there are some boundaries that need to be laid up where it's like, hey, mom, dad, this is not the place that I belong in your life. You're trying to get stuff from me. That's not my role. It's not my place to give that to you. And I'm not going to tell you how to live your life. I just need to let you know that you're not going to be getting that from me. And I think kids get it on some level, especially in their later teen years. You kind of start realizing there's some stuff in our relationship that I don't like. I don't want to be this. I don't want to feel this way. I don't want to be around them. I don't want to connect to them in this place. I don't want to ride in the same car with this person. You start running into these symptoms and you're like, what's the deal? And being a loving kid, you start thinking what's wrong with me? You start going inward and introspective and kind of blaming yourself and feeling guilty and why do I hate this person? Why am I so resentful? Why do I have these flare-ups of anger? Why do I feel these strong negative emotions to this person who's laid their life down for me and loved me and done all this amazing stuff for me? It gets kind of confusing emotionally. It gets contradictory because you're like, I shouldn't hate this person. I should love them, but I don't want them to touch me. I don't want them to talk to me. I don't want to open that. right? Confusing. So if that's you, if you're the kid in that relationship, I want to give you permission to, one, call it like it is, and don't be harsh or condemning, but just wake up and realize like those dynamics are at play. And then two, have the guts, have the compassion and the heart to have an honest conversation with your parent. They may or may not be willing to hear this from you, but you need to represent yourself in that conversation so they can at least understand why there's a change. And then you need to change how you relate to this parent. The thing is, the kid grows up valuing that attention and that connection and intimacy and access because adults are way more important and more powerful than any of your peer friends, right? When you're a kid, you have one of these peer friends and it's fun and we connect and whatever. But when an adult shows you special attention and like connects with you and prioritizes you, you feel so important and special and powerful and amazing. Of course you're gonna wanna spend time with that person more than your friends or wanna like serve them or earn their favor or whatever. And so you actually buy into this economy not knowing any better. It's not your fault. Of course you're gonna choose them. They're this amazing, powerful being in your world, willing to engage with you there. It's messy. So anyway, I just wanted to blow the whistle and just say like, this is a thing and Tangled really touches on it. I mean, there's not much for Rapunzel to reach out for and compare to, but man, that's a thing. Like Mother Gothel's not getting her needs met anywhere else, and so this little child becomes her source and her intimacy and her, you know, her verbal process, and oh, it's a nightmare. Get out, okay? There's a moment in Tangled where Rapunzel's laying on bed, she's laying on bed. Rapunzel is laying on the bed. She's just been betrayed. Flynn Rider backstabbed her, right? He didn't show up and then he took the crown and took off. At least that's what she thinks. No idea that Mother Gothel's actually orchestrating this whole sabotage. So she's alone in her bed, looks at the thing, has this instant realization she's the princess. And these memories come flashing back to her. She has parents, she's the princess. She was raised in the castle. She lived in a crib in this massive bedroom and she realizes who she is in this instant. I love this moment, how they portray it. It was so cool the way they depicted it. And what I wanted to say about this is, you guys, this happens. Like, this is real. There's a lot of psychology going on in this movie. It's kind of crazy. There are things that we've lost in our childhood. Our innocence was violated. Traumatic events happened, whatever. That happens, like more often than not. And we lose things from our childhood, sometimes because they've been repressed. We actually like separated ourselves from those experiences. I have some friends who legitimately can't remember certain things from their childhood. And they're not sure why. But underneath, past a certain point in their life, stuff happened that all of a sudden their subconscious decided, I don't want to know that, or whatever. What I want to say to that though is, you guys, there's hope. Like, you can get that stuff back. You're not doomed to just never know that part of your life anymore, or to not be able to look or to touch it. You can have that. God heals you, and also the rest of you still has attachment and connection to that place in your being. You can have those memories back. You can have those emotions back. You can have that part of your innocence back. God restores and redeems. There's nothing in you that can't be better than it ever was. He's the God who heals. So you can have that stuff. When she has that moment, it's like, oh, it's fantasy and this is like a fairy tale, but actually, no, that actually happens in real life. Like, those things get brought back to us. It's fantastic, it's amazing, and your life feels like a fairy tale and it's still real. That happens. So I just want to give permission to you guys. If you've lost stuff in the past, or you can't actually access things in your memory, or you feel like it's too painful to touch, I want you to give God a chance to for you to reconsider. Like, maybe it could be different this time. Maybe it doesn't have to be off limits. Maybe that thing doesn't need to be left back there anymore. Maybe it can be part of your whole experience now. That happens. And then there's this beautiful moment where Flynn, is it Flynn? Eugene? There's a beautiful moment where Eugene, taking on his real name instead of the fake name, right? Eugene and Rapunzel are in the boat and they're singing in the lanterns, and the epic, beautiful scene of them being on the water and the lanterns and the reflections, and it's like, where are they? This world just seems so fantastic, but it's just like this mirrored. Anyway, in that moment, they're singing to each other, and they both are realizing, I'm not as afraid as I thought I was. I'm not as insecure. I'm not as vulnerable. I'm not as in danger. I am the most vulnerable I've ever been in this relationship, but I also feel the most safe. I feel the most connected. I feel the most drawn to this place. Like, I've always longed for this, and I'm not afraid of you anymore. You guys, what they're singing about is love, real love. It's beautiful, and the articulation, the lyrics of the song are awesome, but they're singing of the nature of God and what He does when we go to that place of being willing to let go of ourselves in order to give, to contribute, to empower, to serve someone else. Not out of a self-hatred or a lack of value, but out of a beautiful embracing of how valuable and important I am, and I'm willing to give that because of how valuable and important you are, how worthy and lovely you are, whoever the person is in the relationship. They have this exchange where they're singing about it, and it's so beautifully articulated. I love that moment. Then that final moment where Eugene cuts Rapunzel's hair, even though that's the only thing that can heal him in this moment. He cuts it off because he wants her to be free from this oppressor. He wants her free from this nasty, dysfunctional, codependent relationship, to get away from this oppressor and to be free in her life. And he's willing to sacrifice what he needs to be okay in order for her to have what she needs to be free. Sacrificial love, you guys, it's beautiful. It's painful and awful when we sacrifice out of duty and obligation, not because of love, but it's beautiful and a profound expression of God's nature when from a place of wholeness and love we give, even at our own destruction, for the benefit of the person we love. Beautiful, I love it. This movie is a feel-good movie. It's such a great story, and my gosh, the relational dynamics are so layered. It's like, I can't believe this is a kid's movie. It's crazy. I love this movie. So you guys like, comment, subscribe, click that bell button. Click here to subscribe, click the bell button to get more notifications of these videos, and click here to see other videos on Spirits in the Theater.